Assalamualaikum. Today we are here to present the Hirarc recommendation report by our company, Incon Consultant Limited, on the implementation of the Hirarc process at Suffolk House in Penang. Before we begin, let me provide a brief introduction to our company. Incon Consultant Limited is a leading building surveying consultancy firm based in Malaysia. We specialize in Hirarc services aiming to ensure the safety, resilience, and compliance of buildings and structure across various industries. Now, let me introduce the key members involved in this project. Leading our team is our CEO, Irina binti Ibrahim. We have our building surveyor, Nushahira binti Zainal, and assistant building surveyor, which is me, Nurhana Nanazia, and Shamini Afika.
Our team have been appointed by a client with a task to assess, provide necessary Hirarc recommendation report on proposed restoration project of double-story Georgian mansion in Penang. So here is the project overview, which aims to revitalize the double-story Georgian mansion, preserving its architectural heritage while adapting it for modern use. The restoration work will focus on structural repair, architectural restoration, utility system upgrades, and landscaping and surroundings. In order to assess and provide Hirarc report, these are three basic preliminary risk assessment process that we go through. The first one is risk identification, where we describe and catalog any potential risks to assets or processes that may have a negative influence on project outcome. The second one is risk analysis. We determine of likelihood and severity of the credible accident sequence to determine magnitude and to prioritize identified hazard. And lastly, risk control. This involves the process of removing a danger so that it doesn't present a risk personnel who must enter space or work around equipment as part of their regular duties. In risk identification, we identify that there are four categories of risk. The first one is structural risk, which related to the stability, strength, and condition of the structure itself. Second is environmental risk, which give negative effect on the surrounding environment during the restoration activities. Thirdly, health risk. It may have serious and immediate effect or cause long-term health problem that affect all or part of the body. Last but not least, safety risk, which involves with strong force to cause injury to a person or property.
Risk assessment is the determination of the likelihood and severity of the credible accident or even sequences to determine magnitude and to prioritize identify hazard. To analysis of risk, likelihood and severity will be used, and the result we present in a risk matrix to identify each risk for Georgian mansion building. Risk can be calculated using the formula likelihood times severity. The result that get a value between 1 to 4 is labeled with green color, which is mean a low level, while the value of 5 to 12, which is labeled with yellow color, mean moderate level. And lastly, the red color label, which is the value is 50 to 25, is high level.
Risk control is processed to prevent danger to harm people, especially workers in the construction site that exposed to the danger. Risk control divided by several parts that can see in the pyramid. From the bottom, there is a PPE is less efficient. PPE is alternative controls are ineffective and more protection is required. Personal protective equipment and clothes are utilized. To correctly utilize and maintain equipment, workers must receive the training to ensure they know how to use the PPE to prevent the PPE not protect them from the risk. Next, move to the administrative control is method or procedure designed to minimize the exposure to a hazard. In most cases, administrative control use system of work to control the risk. For example, developing a procedure on how to operate the machinery safely, limiting exposure time to a hazardous task. After that, engineering control, prevent the hazard from coming into contact with the worker, such as modifying equipment or the working space, using protective barriers and ventilation. Second control is substitution is possible to complete the same task in a less dangerous manner. And first method to control the risk is eliminating the hazardous job. Hirarc is hazard identification, risk assessment and risk control provide a systematic and objective approach to assessing hazards and their associated risks that will provide an objective measure of an identified hazard, as well as provide a method to control the risk. Risk in Suffolk House, Georgian, Penang can divide into the structure risk, environmental risk, health risk and safety risk. Element in the structure risk is structure assessment, structure repair and restoration of the architecture features. The element in environmental risk consists of utilized machinery and equipment, also waste generation and management. Okay, third is health risk that consists of hazardous material removal, interior restoration and exterior restoration. Lastly, safety risk consists of electrical work, scaffolding and working at height, also the roof work. Okay, risk for the structure assessment and analysis. The work activity is structure survey and documentation. It have potential effect on being stuck by falling object during the survey. Existing control just using safety helmet and other suitable PPE. The total risk analysis is 20, which is high, and this control by engineer control to develop emergency plan. The administrative control proposed to build a temporary support, and the PPE control same with the existing control by wear a suitable PPE with a suitable size. This can refer to the OSHA section 16 and 24. Next is for the main point structure repair. The activity of repairing is roof repair that will be potential to be a collapse or further damage. The effect from this hazard is fall from the height. This work activity get 20, which is high level. Risk control for this hazard is suggested into administrative control and PPE control. Administrative control consists of follow structure engineer order, conduct regular inspection for the main structure, avoid overloading of material when delivery, and documented every assessment. For the PPE control is worker wear a PPE such as helmet and glove. Each control refer to the OSHA 1994 section 15 and 24 duties employer and self-employed person. Next risk is floor and beam repair. This activity has a potential hazard to structure stability that affect to fall of person or broken leg. Total risk analysis from this activity is 20, which is in red color. Risk control to measure this risk divide into 3. Engineer, administrative, also the PPE control. Okay, for the engineer control consists of use machinery with suitable load, and administrative control consists of provide detailed plan or procedure, hire experienced contractor, install temporary support, follow engineer specification and order, also conduct continuously monitoring. This is referred to OSHA Part 4, Section 50 and 24. After that, risk for restoration architectural features is risk that exposed to falling debris or collapsed building structure that affect the body injuries. Existing control just using safety helmet, and the total risk analysis 20, which is high. This control by engineer control to provide barriers to minimize the exposed to the falling debris. After that, administer control to use fall protection such as a harness, conduct training for worker and practice safety procedure, and conduct regular examine and repair to the element in the building. This control refer to the OSHA section 15 and 24.
The main environmental risk point is to utilize machinery and equipment. The work activity that gets a value of 16, which is at a high level, is construction material handling. This work will be exposed to noise pollution. The effect of noise pollution will cause loss or hearing impairment. Among the risk control that can be taken to deal with this issue is the Occupational Safety and Health Act 1994 in Part 4 under Section 15, which is the duties of the employer and self-employed person. The second point is waste generation and management in waste disposal. The hazard is construction debris got a value of 20, which is a high level. The effect of this activity can destroy the natural habitat. So, the step that can be taken to control this problem is administrative control, which is to provide training for workers. Besides that, in OSHA 1994, in Part 4 under Section 24, which is general duties of the employer and self-employer person, also can use for control this issue. Okay, now we focus on the Hirarc form of health risk. The first point is hazard material removal under personal protective equipment (PPE), which got a value of risk is 16. The hazard of these work activities is PPE failure, and the effect is the body part can get injured. The control risk can be taken is through administration control, which is providing training, choosing appropriate PPE, and supervising to monitor important PPE among workers. The second point is about exterior restoration, which get the highest value, which is 25, which in height level is under working platform and loading work. The hazard of this activity is improper safety protocol, which can cause slip, trip, fall, and can cause body injury. However, the step to control this problem is with OSHA 1994, which is in Part 4 under Section 15, which is the duties of the employer and self-employed person. Meanwhile, there is also in Part 6 under Section 24, which general duties of employees.
Regarding with safety risks, we identify several hazards during the electrical work. When the technician do the electrical testing and commissioning, they tend to expose with working at height. This could lead to serious injury from fall during the installation and testing. This hazard can be prevented by providing mandatory PPE. The hazard can be classified as fatal. To control to the risk, it is recommended to use stable platform, follow the SOP, ensure the working environment clean, and wear safety equipment. This control should comply with OSHA Part 4, Section 15, 16, and 24. During the scaffolding setup, the workers are exposed to unstable ground, which could lead to scaffolding collapse. To prevent this risk, manual handling procedure can be developed. This hazard is classified as fatal, and it is recommended to follow the SOP, ensure scaffolding has been checked by a qualified person, and wear PPE. This control should be complied with OSHA Part 4, Section 15 and Section 24. Lastly, when working at roof, the workers tend to expose to falling and trip from the height, which causing bodily injury. The risk can be prevented by using safety helmet and other suitable PPE. This hazard classified as fatal due to the red color. It is recommended to clean surrounding working area and wear PPE to prevent from trip or falling.
Now let's move on to our proposal on the emergency action plan for structural collapse at Suffolk House, Penang. The purpose of this emergency plan is to address the risk of the structure collapse and provide guidance for an effective response. The objectives of the plan are to prepare for emergency, mitigate risk, protect occupants, and minimize the impact of incidents. In this presentation, I will focus on two key phases of the emergency management plan, which is preparedness and response. Let's begin with the preparedness phase. This phase focuses on readiness and preparedness for emergencies. It involves steps such as developing an emergency response plan, outlining emergency procedures, providing training, conducting drills and exercises, and enhancing communication. In developing an emergency response plan, we create a comprehensive plan with clear roles, responsibilities, and communication channels. Emergency procedures are outlined, defining step-by-step action for structure failure incidents, including evacuation routes and assembly points. Training is essential to ensure stakeholders are familiar with the plan, procedures, and equipment usage. Regular drills and exercises are conducted to test and improve the effectiveness of the emergency response plan. Communication is enhanced to maintain coordination and situational awareness among stakeholders. Now, moving on to the response phase, which deals with real-time emergencies. The immediate response protocol provides a structured approach to the initial action following a structured collapse. It prioritizes immediate safety, command and control, and risk mitigation. The protocol includes steps such as prompt evacuation from the affected area, notifying emergency services, assessing the situations, contacting emergency responders, using trained personnel for search and rescue efforts, and maintaining clear communications channels. Evacuation procedures play a critical role in moving individuals to safety. Clear evacuation routes, alarm, and notification are essential. Assistance is provided to vulnerable individuals, and accountability is maintained through checklists and designated assembly points. Search and rescue procedures aim to locate and assist trapped or injured individuals. It involves phases such as arrival and pre-rescue, systematic search and rescue, and debris removal. In conclusion, both the preparedness and response phases are crucial in emergency management. By following the steps outlined in the preparedness phase and implementing the immediate response protocol during emergencies, we can effectively protect our life and minimize the impact of incidents. Thank you. That concludes our presentation of the Hirarc recommendation report and the emergency action plan for structural collapse at Suffolk House, Penang.